Hello folks, Dave Mayo here from Hack Your Gut, and today we're going to talk about how to build a healthy microbiome, the importance of routine. Now in our last episode we discussed, effectively we simply just launched the How to Build a Healthy Gut and How to Build a Healthy Microbiome series, but within that we talked about how one of the most foundational aspects of building both a healthy gut and a healthy microbiome involves looking at your gut microbiome as an ecosystem. And like any good ecosystem, such as the forest, it's critically important to build stability within that ecosystem. You do not want to introduce chaos. Introducing chaos will destabilize the ecosystem within your gut, and it will cause major problems. It will lead to poorer gut health and poorer overall health as well. Now, when we look at, say, a forest, we have a number of environmental factors that create stability. There is the presence of plant life, trees, grass, food, fruits, things of that nature, as well as the day-night cycle, which is consistent day in and day out. And that creates circadian rhythms within these animals that regulates when they sleep, when they feed, and this creates stability eventually within that ecosystem. So if we think about it, the herbivores, their circadian rhythm drives them to eat at specific times of day, and the carnivores would like to eat the herbivores, so this day-night cycle will also help them determine when they're supposed to eat. If we change the day-night cycle, day in and day out, and we did this in a random way, creating chaos, nobody would be able to find food at the right times, and we would end up with too little plant life, or too few herbivores to act as prey, or too few predators to keep the prey in check, and then the prey would just completely devastate the plant life. So we want to create stability in our ecosystem, and in our internal ecosystem, our gut. The most important thing to understand with that is that you build routine. The microbiome is helping you adapt to your environment, and the most important way that you can help them is to build stability within your routine. We have a circadian rhythm within our entire body, and our gut has its own circadian rhythm, as do our muscles, our heart, our lungs, and things like that. Every organ system within our body, and that circadian rhythm within our gut helps build a circadian rhythm within our microbiome. And of course, the microbes within our microbiome have their own circadian rhythms. So we want these two things to link up with one another. The most important way of doing that is building routine. And so we've seen in many studies with mice, there's this kind of give and take where you are feeding, and that builds a specific microbiome. And we have this mucus layer that's created in our gut that kind of keeps the members of the microbiome away. And then when we stop feeding, we see a switch in a proliferation in different microbes. So the microbes that feed on our food decrease, and the microbes that feed on that mucus layer increase, and they kind of trim it down, and then we eat again, builds it back up. And so we kind of have this ebb and flow with the microbiome. We also have many different hormones circulating through the gut. We have enteroendocrine cells within the gut creating gut hormones, but we also process many of our other hormones, such as our androgens, our sex hormones, as well as our stress hormones and things of that nature. So the things we do day in and day out are critically important to setting that microbial rhythm. So they are going to respond to whether we are awake or sleeping, whether we are exercise or sedentary, whether we are feeding or fasting. Exposure to stress is certainly going to have an effect based on the effect of hormones. So it's really important, if we want to build this ecosystem, that we build routine that helps us build stability within this ecosystem. So a lot of people, what they'll end up doing is Monday through Friday they work. So they'll go to bed by 10 and they're up by 6 or 7. And then on the weekends, they'll completely change their routine. Not only will they change when they wake up, or when they go to bed and when they wake up, but they'll also completely change their diet. And this will destabilize the microbiome as well as the gut, and will cause problems. So our goal is to build routine. You want to build routine in your lifestyle so that you can build stability within your gut and microbiome. Keep your nutrition pretty much the same day in and day out. Feed at the same times, exercise at the same times, sleep at the same times, expose yourself to stress at the same times. So if you're looking to build a healthy microbiome, there's nothing more important than building a routine that you follow day in and day out. And if you kind of skew from it, those times are few and far between.